Hey guys, if you're struggling with your mental health and well-being, maybe you're feeling a bit down or as though life's passing you by, this is the second of 5 short videos to give you some unexpected revelations and make sense of the situation you're in. I'm Suzanne Roynan and I'm an interiors therapist. I specialise in identifying the stuff in people's homes which is making them miserable and potentially damaging their health, wealth, success, relationships and their mojo. You can go from having the world at your feet to wondering why it all went so wrong in the blink of an eye. Yesterday, we talked about art and possessions which trigger an emotional response. Today, we're talking about something which makes everyone groan. We're talking clutter. Do you know the word clutter comes from clot, as in clotted cream, and also blood clots, which result in strokes and heart attacks. And just like a blood clot stops a body functioning properly, clutter does the same in your home. But here's the thing, your clutter is completely unique to you. They say one man's trash is another man's treasure, but just how much of the stuff you have around you really counts as treasure and supports your personal well-being? When I'm working in person with men who are struggling in one way or another, perhaps they're feeling blue or self-medicating with alcohol or drugs, or they're even in a depression, 100% of them have clutter. I'm not saying they're hoarders, no, far from it. In fact, most of them are successful. Some have got beautiful bachelor pads, living apparently charmed lives as far as their work is concerned. But at night they feel lost and lonely. They make decisions they regret and they're trapped in a downward emotional spiral. They all have clutter, although they don't necessarily see it that way. Maybe it's hidden away in boxes or cupboards, wardrobes, the spare room, shed or garage, and they believe what they're keeping might one day come in handy. But the thing is, it hasn't been used for years. It's just sitting there, gathering dust, taking up space, and in some cases, costing them a lot of money because they're paying to store it. Tom inherited a large house from his parents. It was full of their furniture and possessions, along with stuff from his grandparents and a mass of childhood memories. For 8 years, Tom lived in a single room, not knowing where to start or how to work out which possessions had a value and what was only fit for a skip. Then Tom met somebody really special and invited her to the house. She visited once and refused to go back. There wasn't room for her in the house, and she wasn't prepared to live surrounded by 50 years of someone else's possessions. Tom was devastated. He'd hoped to make a future with this lady, but the house was a huge weight on his shoulders. This had to be handled carefully. Tom was intensely emotional about the loss of his parents because effectively they were still right there with him. Their clothes were in the bedroom and toiletries in the bathrooms. He felt as though they were looking over his shoulder all the time. But he was so alone. So helping Tom identify what genuinely mattered to him and what was clutter, that was the first huge step. He realised there was virtually nothing he wanted to keep because none of it had any relevance to the life he wanted for himself. Tom made a decision to look forward rather than living in the past. It took a month, a lot of tears, and giving himself the goal of a date when he wanted to propose to his lady to get it all sorted out. But he did it. Once the house was clear of clutter, he decided to sell it and buy a new home to share with his wife-to-be. They sent me pictures from their wedding, and to see the sheer joy on their faces meant the world to me. Tom's inherited clutter held him back 8 years, but your clutter could be a lot more recent. So here's the challenge for today. Take a look in your wardrobe and find 3 items you don't use, you don't need, or you don't love, and stick them in a bag to take to charity or a supermarket recycling bin. And if you find there's a lot more stuff in there which doesn't fit the use, need, love criteria, let that go too. As ever, I'd love to see photos of your progress, but as it's all very unique to you, let's keep it confidential and send the photos by direct message. I'll share them anonymously in the group. So that's the end of today's mini teaching session. If you have any questions, just let me know and I'll see you tomorrow.